Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sarah Show. Today's guest is the amazing Gabriella. Hello, Gabriella.
Hi, Sarah.
How are
So
you?
happy to be here.
So happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good. I just came here in bicycle. So I've been in my bicycle for 40 minutes. I'm a little bit sweaty, but I'm good. I'm
It's a
happy to be here.
good workout in Barcelona.
Perfect workout. Yes. Yes. I saw all the city this morning.
How did you get in the world of healing,
Okay.
or lack of better word?
That's a good question. Yes.
Yeah.
So my mom was in personal growth since I was very young, like a teenager. So I remember she gave me when I was 14 an Anthony Robbins book.
Mm.
And he was something like how to transform from a chicken to an eagle. Something like that. It was the title and the cover. There was a chicken, a little chicken, and an eagle. And I ate that book in just a couple days, and I even reread it. And I loved the concept of personal growth. And I absorbed that as a good teen and made it mine. So it was in me. And then at 15, she signed me for a 2 days personal growth workshop. And
She signed you up.
she asked me if I was interested. And I said, yeah, sure. And so I did this workshop, and I was like, it really had an impact on me. I remember we even made some practices on telepathy inside of this workshop. And I remember that the person in front of me had to think about a person, and I had to describe this person without him saying who the person was and how it was. And for some reason, my eyes were closed, and I was trying to perceive what was in his consciousness, what he was trying to think of. And I was saying, I cannot see. And this person, after a while, told me, well, that was a blind person that I was thinking of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and my only thing is, I don't know why I can't see anything. I can't see anything. So, yeah, that was a blind person. So, I connected some nervous system dots, I guess, in the course about perceptions that are beyond the material, beyond what I knew before. So I never discounted my power in that sense. And I think I am now growing that part of me that is more like the oracle that I have in me, the perceptive, the intuitive. It happens a lot that I have visions or dreams, premonitions about things that are going to happen to other people. If I look at a person deep enough, I can see what's going to happen in their next 10 years. I have this stuff, and then I share with Kai, for example, which is but is my husband right now. And yeah, and then we have seen many times that what I perceived of them happens. And so I'm trying to focus on what's this magic power that I have since I was little. So coming back to the course of my mom, at 15, I did that course. At 19, I was at university. She sent me to Zurich, no, Geneva, in Switzerland, to do another personal growth course with Basil De Luca, which is now a friend of my family, of my mother, and Giovanna Zanin, that at the time was his wife. And they were doing this 4 days course there, very intense, where we didn't know what time it was. We didn't know in the hotel, our windows were blacked out completely. So we were just sleeping probably 2 hours a night or 3. Wow. And then they will wake us up and keep us awake all day. It was extreme. Honestly, I don't necessarily agree with many of the methodology that we're using at the time, or very 80s methodologies. But it was a human experience with many women in one room and many other men in another room that was very close by. Yeah, it did, leave a lasting impression on me. So that's how it started. And then I started doing avatar courses in my late 20s, which then I became a master in the next years when I was in Bali. And I've been traveling America, Australia, to do these courses. I've been creating students from there. So that is working consciousness. So I've been studying working consciousness quite well. And anyways, all the workshops and the trainings I've been doing as an actress or as a dancer, all the embodiment work, the breath work, the tantra, because as an actress, you use a lot of sexual energy, creative energy, life force energy to express yourself on the stage. And so we had to draw informations on Taoistic practices, the Chinese ancient sexual practices, energetic practices. And so I started also being interested in Tantra since I was 20 and breath work. So I was, for many years, I've been doing a lot of training on this side. And theater is a personal growth journey. It's tough. Nobody talk about it. But the journey as an actor, like there's nothing more intense as a human being to work on your body, on your emotions, on your presence, being observed by, dozens, if not hundreds of people when you're vulnerable, naked, literally naked sometimes, without your clothes, normal clothes, using your body to express your emotions, being connecting with your traumas. And it's been a journey.
I was listening to this the other day about, good actors and bad actors, and like the good actors, how they're the ones who are completely able to embody the energy of that persona. And then the training behind it, for those who don't get stuck there, is a whole different story, because you can embody something and get stuck in it, right?
Exactly.
They were saying how, like, the guy who did the Joker,
Mm-hmm.
do you know the Australian
Phoenix.
kid who died? Ledger, I think is his last name.
Heath Ledger.
You're right.
Yeah.
How after doing the Joker, he spent a long time going into that energy of the Joker, and then after the movie, he couldn't come out of it. And,
Absolutely.
that's how he ended up, dying.
Absolutely. I saw everything. Like doing my schools, theater school, acting schools, workshops, I saw people reliving sexual trauma on the stage during the trainings, during the rehearsal, and not being able to come out of it. And so directors always say you need to really be aware of the context you're in. This is a professional context. This is not a therapeutic context. So you need, as an actor, to always have in mind, yes, you're doing this work and it has to be authentic, but you're doing it with the purpose of professional acting. So you need to show to the public what it feels like to whatever that the scene is, or the story is, the narrative is. So when you get sucked in, the trauma and the memories, that's a problem. Because, for how amazing many directors are, and they're able to pull you out of it and to comfort you, that's not a therapeutic setting or environment. There's nobody that will save you from PTSD episode. So
Right.
yeah.
Because you're going, especially like the heavy roles, and
Yeah.
it's one thing you're doing drama, romantic comedies, and where it's full of like good feelings, and maybe you're crying as a woman because the man dumped you, or because you had a fight or something like that. But if you're doing like heavier roles that involve like wars or trauma or anything like that, that must require a lot of training, like energetic training on
Yeah.
how to, yeah, right?
It requires a lot of control, self-control. You have to be, especially actors that are in front of a camera, when they say cut, stop, and you are maybe just before the cut in an intense moment. Let's say someone is dying, you kill someone, and you are in that intensity. When is the cut? You have to be out, off, so it's abrupt. Very abrupt. But you have to have that coldness. And that is the professionalism that distinguish true actor, a professional actor, and an amatorial one. You can't get too entangled with the emotion.
Yeah. Jim Carrey talks a lot about this stuff. That's how he got a lot into spirituality, realizing I can embody any identity I want to. So who
Exactly.
am I really? Right? If I can embody
Very
anything,
interesting.
right?
So interesting.
That's super interesting.
Yes.
Yes. To bring it back to real life, if like, there are triggers that make you embody certain identities.
Yeah.
But you always have the power to choose to withdraw yourself from that identity and pick a new one.
And that's great insight, because the identities that we carry from childhood, they don't necessarily describe who we really are. They're an accumulation of information and assumption about who we are or how people perceive us or believe about us, that creates a sort of filter to the pure essence of life that we are. To me, what is that I discover is we are not personality traits, we're not a character, we are something beyond that is malleable, flexible, changeable, expandable. We can be anything we want. And so we can be traumatized. We can also choose to not be. We always have a choice.
I think the difference between you and a lot of people that I know and that I talk to is how fluid you are around this and how aware you are about it. Because a lot of the times, it's not just we get fixated on identity, we don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
Right? We become so entangled with it.
Yeah.
And so in it, we don't even see that it's just an identity.
Yeah.
Right? We make it like, no, we don't want to let it go. Right? We hold on to it. It's a lot of attachment.
Scary.
It's scary, right?
For a lot of people.
Yeah, to let it go.
Yeah.
But what I see in you is like this full awareness and fluidity around, oh yeah, this, maybe that's because of your training as an actress and all. Oh yeah, I can tap into that and I can let it go now, and I can tap into this and I can let it go now, and you like easily dance and flow through it and around it, even though you haven't lived the easiest childhood.
No.
Right? You're not
No.
stuck in that in
No.
that pain or those identities that, right? It could have been abandonment issues, which you probably dealt with. You probably had like so many issues.
Mm-hmm.
But I just find it super interesting how some people
Yeah.
are so fixated,
Yeah.
and so attached to that pain, and like, no, this happened to me and I'm resentful and I don't want to let it go. And
Yeah.
and I say that with compassion. It's really hard too. It was hard for me as well. But then there's that, oh yeah, that's just seeing it completely from outside and be like, oh yeah, that's just
Mm-hmm.
attached to that scenario
Yeah.
that happened
I
during
tell
that
you what
period of
I
my
think
time.
about that. So a lot of people prefer to be in an identity that they know, even though it's a horrible identity of traumatized, violated, abused person, than let it go and be in the unknown. The unknown is so scary to human beings. That's why religions were created, so you have some answers to your questions, to your I don't know. What I learned is to live with doubts, mystery, unknown, darkness, and to find a way to navigate that, for how uncomfortable it is, for how anxious I can be, for how scary it can be, painful it can be to not know but because my childhood was so free in a way, I didn't have many conditionings because I was not raised particularly from from one person or another. I had to figure out by myself, and I was kind of alone in that. And so I think I trained since I was little to, I don't know, to be in the unknown, really, and to get more comfortable. It never gets comfy, the unknown. But you learn to cope with that. You learn to live with that. You learn to enjoy that and even using at your advantage. When others are like scared to do something, you're not. You jump. You use that energy, that intensity, that anxiety as an excitement. You can transform it. It's like a Kundalini journey. rising journey. It's like you raise the vibration, the frequency of that energy that at the beginning has a negative connotation in the body, and you feel as a negative, but you get excited about it. You start being, well, that's actually exciting, and you transform it, and then you combust it into something actually beautiful. And the best things in life come out of that. In my experience,
in your
my
experience,
opinion.
yeah. So you mentioned that you combust or transform that energy, right? From what in general it's called negative energy into something more positive. It's a transformation.
Yeah.
To even transform that energy, you got to be not scared of it, right? Like if you have an anxiety, or if you have any sort of, if your nervous system is triggered and you're not feeling good, it's not a comfortable feeling. There's a lot of fear around it, right? There's a lot of resistance around staying in it.
Yeah. So one thing is the emotions that you're feeling, and then there is the fear on top of it. It's like two type of frequency that are different. One is the fear, one is the anxiety. If you acknowledge that you are scared of the anxiety, which is like basically multiplying your anxiety, because fear and anxiety are basically on the same wavelengths, frequency wise, then you can remove the fear and literally engage in feeling the wholeness of your anxiety, which has some informations in it. So that normally is, I'm scared of something that didn't happen yet, that could happen tomorrow or later. So is being scared, anxiety is, the definition is being scared of something that hasn't happened yet. So it's literally a creation of the mind. So if we understand that, we can just feel into it and see what's inside. But we can also add some excitement, because it's a challenge, and it's what in acting, we were talking about controlling your emotions and being able to use it at your advantage, or being able to train yourself, to your nervous system, to stop and have a look at what you're feeling from an outsider perspective. So you can see that you are not the anxiety or the fear. It's something that has been created, but you're not that. So you can step out of it. Like you can choose something else instead. You can choose to embrace some excitement for the challenge, as I was saying, that is coming. And that energy of anxiety, little by little, it transforms into excitement. And when you're able to transform, to combust the energy from, for example, anxiety to excitement, your vibrations, your frequencies, because it's energy, so it's made of frequencies, rise, and then joy is possible, because excitement and joy are very close to each other, and so it's helpful.
So just to make sure I get this correctly, so if we're just using anxiety as an example, but any sort of uncomfortable feeling, could be anger, right? It could be sadness, it could be anything.
Yes.
So you have this uncomfortable feeling, but a lot of the time you actually stuck in being scared of the uncomfortable feeling. So you're not even feeling the uncomfortable feeling.
Exactly.
You're more likely feeling the fear of being in the uncomfortable feeling.
Yes. And in that case, you are stuck, because you can't feel what's processing inside of you because of the fear and the resistance that you have of going through that experience as a person.
How do you let go of that then?
So, but first of all, if you know that getting stuck doesn't bring you anywhere, and it's like it literally eating energy from you, so you are less powerful, you're weaker because of that, you're disempowered from that. You have definitely, you can connect with the desire to go like beyond that, right? There is definitely a fear, but there is also definitely present, for sure, a desire to overcome that state of being. If you really pay attention, there is a desire to overcome that state of being that is eating you alive, is eating your energy, is weakening you.
The fear is.
Yes. So you it's like a process of awareness in which you let go of the fear. You just there is a, for example, a contraction. So it could be in the stomach, or in the heart area. So you become aware of the contraction. You can breathe to it, and you consciously choose to let it go. You choose to let it go, and you feel there is a shift. And then there is the anxiety. And you can say to yourself, I'm going to feel this. I'm going to go through it. So you literally immerse yourself into the anxiety, for example, that we were saying, and you just feel the anxiety. When you feel it like this, it has an end. It's just an energy that is there to be felt, and afterwards there's something else. And normally there is a sense of spaciousness, like there is like a sense of freedom also, almost, when you go through a very strong emotions that is perceived as negative from the body or as a low frequency, you get liberated from it. So when you have this spaciousness, you can choose what to feel instead. And it could be excitement, for example. Well, I'm doing this work on myself. I am going somewhere. I'm actually moving. I'm not stuck anymore. That's good. And you feel that your energy is, because that's the feeling, anxiety, fear, they're energy eaters. So you feel weakened. And when you are able to process, you have this almost exhilaration moment in which your energies are free again to move in your body, and they're circulating. So you get this opportunity to feel a higher, elevated state of being.
How about when it's in someone else, like a partner?
A partner?
Yeah, like you're dating someone and you feel that in them, right? Because you can't move it for them, right?
No.
They have to be able to do that work.
Yeah.
But I feel like having the ability and the awareness and the sensitivity to feel what you feel and be with the energy that you're in and move it and transform it also creates that same sensitivity, also creates sensitivity in others, right? You might potentially feel it when it's in other people.
Yeah.
How do you deal when it's in someone else?
So the only thing what we can do, it's what I learned to be practice of appreciation and curiosity. So let's say you are in a state of anxiety, and I'm like, wow, that's fascinating inside of me without saying it. But I maintain this awe. I'm in front of a human being, experiences something. So instead of going in my mind and being judgmental, I can consciously choose, and that's working consciousness, consciously choose to appreciate this human being going through that experience, for example, of anxiety, and becoming really, but really curious about it inside without the need to say anything. You just create this inside of yourself, this environment that in most cases will shift the other person's energy. And you will say, you can do this exercise on animals, for example. You observe a dog, a cat, a horse going through some emotions or not, but you really place your attention. Attention is energy, its power is directing your energy towards something or someone. And you really do this exercise, this practice of appreciation and awe towards a dog, for example, and you will see something happen. They become like playful, they start moving a certain way, they will act differently, they will do something with the body that will signal you that you shift the energy for them. And you can do it on people too. And that's how you support others through what they're going through.
So it doesn't affect you either.
No, actually, it's a practice to stay in a supportive state of being yourself, and that is also supportive to others. There is never judgmental and always curious and appreciative. It's not easy.
It's not easy. I
It's
was
not
going to
easy.
say it
It's
sounds
a drill.
Huh?
It's a drill,
Right, and it's a practice,
Yeah.
right? Because it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? And it totally makes sense. But I was just thinking, like what if you're also going through a tough day and you know,
Yeah.
then it's a practice,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Well, yeah, we're not perfect,
Right.
perfectly happy robot, and we're not meant to be. I don't think happiness is the end of the story. I don't think that's the goal to reach necessarily. It's not all about that, you know. I think that in my experience, going through the storms and to the pain and through the despair and through the worst of the worst actually gives profound awareness, depth of understanding in us, you know. So avoiding it creates a superficial kind of person,
Mm.
you know, and going through the depth of pain creates profoundness.
I think that's what it is about you. Is like you're not scared of going through the depth of the darkness or the pain at all. You know, not at all. You know, maybe you have times where you do, but you're more
Yes.
willing and more courageous than most.
Maybe, maybe. I know, yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily compare myself to others, but yeah, I could be, yeah.
We did some work together, I think it was last year, around relationships. How did you get into the world of relationships?
So I have been a relationship dynamic nerd.
Nerd.
Nerd, like really a nerd, like someone that studies books or read books of psychology, relationships since I was my teen years, because around me, every relationship was collapsing when I was
Mm.
little. And I couldn't accept that was also my destiny, you know,
Mm.
my fate, you know, because I was aware that the relationship dynamic that I was assisting to when I was little, they will influence my future relationships. I was aware of it since I was a child, somehow unconsciously. I always been curious, and I always felt a possibility to create something extraordinary instead for me, for my life. I want to create an extraordinary relationship, marriage, family for my kids, an extraordinary environment to grow into, safe, expansive, supportive, loving, joyful. I had this desire. And the desire create the curiosity for an understanding, because you need to be prepared to be in relationships. It's not something we come with an instruction manual, unfortunately, but we should, because relationship can be complex to navigate. So having a great family to grow up into, it's a great start. But not everyone has this privilege. It is a privilege to grow up in a safe environment where your mom and dad were together and were loving and safe. That's a great privilege that most humans don't have. And that's just a fact. If you look around, you know, there's 60% of marriage and in divorce, and 80% of male boys that grew up in households without a dad end up in drug addiction, criminality, and problems. And vast majority of girls that grew up in a household with no fathers have hits puberty at a lower age than their peers with a united family. So it has an effect on people, on children, on kids, and it's brutal. So I now know these are percentages and studies, but I was perceiving since I was a child that was something of interest for me, because I wanted to become skilled at a relationship, and I wanted to understand how to create a healthy relationship, a healthy family. And so, yeah, I was always reading psychology. When I was choosing for university, I chose cinema, but I had the option to choose psychology also. So I was into that a lot, personal growth, relationships. And then I've been always in long-term relationships. Like even when I was in high school, I had like this 4 years relationships. And so I was always a nerd in that sense, always interested in long-term relationships. And then after I became a avatar master, after becoming a mother, I started studying more and more femininity, feminine masculine energy dynamics, conscious relating, energy body work, conscious sexuality, I've been through a lot of trainings and workshops on that. And that's where I met, in one of them, I met Kai, my husband and the father of my child, third child, in Spain, actually, 7 years ago. So I was going for a 3 weeks training in Alpujarra, Sierra Nevada, in this beautiful retreat center called Hidden Paradise. The training was on relating conscious sexuality, energy body work. It was around that. And we met there. So our relationship was initiated through that work, that specific work on relating. And we started, of course, having like a conversation, a dialogue about that. And our relationship was born in that dialogue, and that became our life. We didn't choose it like, oh, I want to do that work. It just came along with life, put us in this path. And then just a year after meeting Kai and started talking about the work, our relationship together, writing contents every day together, having deep conversations and exchanges. I was under the shower, and the name Devotional Love, which is the name of our work, our business, came to me. And because the experience of devotion was very intense in our experience of relationship, and because of the work we've been doing in India, the spiritual work we've been doing, it was very devotional.
What does devotional mean?
Devotional means devoided of self, empty of self. So in a relationship, it means the opposite of what personal growth will tell you, that you are the most important thing. Devotional means that they are the most important thing.
Who's they?
Whoever you're relating to, your clients, your husband, your kids, a stranger on the street, friend, whoever needs you in that moment for whatever reason, that is more important than you.
It's true that there's a lot of, in the personal growth world, there's a lot of about you, right? But don't you think that's a necessary step to go there first? Because to even heal what you need to heal, it's got to be about you, right? It's got to be about your experiences and your traumas, and you got to be able to feel first and release what you need to release, so you learn how to use this body and transform how you need to transform things.
Yeah.
But eventually, once you learn that, then it becomes devotional, as you say.
Absolutely. There are stages of spirituality. The first is I become aware of me, where I'm coming from, what I've created as identities, for example. What are my traumas, and what did they create of me, out of me? And you work on you. And the ego, what they call ego, which is you, and your experience of life needs to be worked through. And we need to become aware of it, conscious of it. We need to see things, either you are in the shadows and you just operate from compulsions. You don't know, you're unconscious, you don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it. You don't know why you're behaving in a certain way. You have no idea. That's, a stage. And then you become aware. Oh, that's why I scream when someone tells me I'm wrong, for example. That you start becoming aware, and then you change your patterns, you change your habits, you change your compulsions, and they become conscious. So instead of reacting to life, you choose how to act. So everything you do, from eating, is an act that becomes conscious. This is my food. I'm not just blah, 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 eating like this. I'm just observing my food, what it does. I become conscious of what it does. It becomes my body. You thank the food is going in my body. From little things to big things like relationships, business, you become conscious of that. When you're more free of your unconscious patterns, then you have more space to devote yourself to others. And then you want to serve who's around you. It's a natural growth, a natural change and evolution towards that in a human life, in a human experience. So you want to be in service of the people you love, and then you realize that you can love a stranger exactly like you love your kids. You can understand the depth of a little ant and what it does in the big picture of universe, and all the equilibrium, all the balances of life, how interdependent we are from one another, how important little things are, how not important I am. That if I disappear today, nobody, like, in the scale of life, nobody will be bothered by it. I will
Life
just
goes on.
Yeah, life goes on. We're little things, and life is bigger than us, and that's what devotion is the experience of that. That you are part of life. You come and you go, and life and death are part of this experience.
So what is the work that you do with couples? What does that look like?
Me and my husband work together with couples and individuals, but our speciality, let's say, our strength is working with other couples, because we are a man and a woman, a father and a mother, a sister and a brother. We are in a dynamic ourselves, so we have the experience of our own marriage and family. So we bring that to our advantage when we work with couples, and we become like a mirror for them. So we work together and individually with, the man or the woman. And so sometimes we're four, many times actually, we're four of us. And it becomes, instead of a one-on-one personal work on the person, it becomes a dynamic work. So on the relationship. And so it's very complex. And that's why it's so fascinating to me. And that's why I enjoyed this work so much. I learn so much every time I have a sessions with a couple, from them and from myself and from Kai. So we use coaching, mentoring, we use energy work, we use meditations, we use creation work, manifestation work. Kai comes more from the healing background, so he's very good with trauma, working with trauma. So he does more the part on the past, of clearing the past, the traumas and the blueprint from childhood. He's very good at that. I am more into creation and manifestation of what you want to create now, and sexually and in relationship and for yourself. So yeah, so that's how we work, more or less.
Where have you and Kai struggled as a couple?
Me and Kai, so he is 10 years, 9.5 younger than me. He comes from Canada, from a little town in Canada where there's not much in general. I am Italian. I come from a different generation. I already had 2 kids before meeting him. And so culturally, very different. We're very different. And that means even humor. Like, as an actress, and an actress that actually had ambitions of humor, being comic sometimes. and I grew up in a family where, like, my grandfather, my father, there's a lot of sarcasm and humor every day, and in an environment where me and my friends will really tease each other about our flaws, and never getting offended, really, just using that as a way to communicate with honesty, but not heavy,
Yeah.
So I come from this background where laughing and jokes, it's very present.
Very Mediterranean.
Yes, exactly. And Kai's quite serious. He's quite serious. He's Canadian, his mom is Chinese, his father is German, Norwegian. And so very different. So he will get very offended, touchy about my jokes, and he would not understand the word jokes. So at the beginning, it was like, for me, it was shocking, because I felt misunderstood, and where I had the most fun, I create the most energy with people. And normally people enjoy to be with me because of the fun that I create around them.
Yeah.
For him, it was a problem. So like, wow, something that normally is experienced as a quality is experienced as something like, no, That's you can't do
Offensive.
offensive. So that was the first thing.
How'd you get past that?
A little bit I adapted. I learned his trigger points, and a little bit he made the work to understand how I am and my jokes more. And we immersed in each other culture, and I think there's been more a merging of culture.
Mm.
Another thing is, like, for me, art, everything I studied was very important, very present, and he doesn't come from that at all. So what I was interested in for him was like, what is that? Where is contemporary art?
Mm.
Where is theater, experimental theater? So we didn't have many interests in common apart from coaching, relationship, and personal growth,
Even though
and
he's a musician, he's an
spirituality.
artist
Yeah,
too.
he's a
'Cause
musician. Yes.
yeah.
He's a musician, he's a pianist, amazing pianist, amazing singer. But he's not someone that will listen to music. It was someone that will create music. He's a creator of music. And I love that. It was actually a hook for us because he was sending me songs, improvised songs at the piano when we met, love songs. And that was great, actually.
Mm.
Another struggle was, well, he was living in Canada at the time. I was living in Bali. So he had to move across countries to be with me. And he had to become a step parent. He was just 28 when we met.
Mm.
So I was 37, he was 28. And so he was young. So yeah, sometimes I felt and still feel the difference of age,
Mm.
in certain things, even though Kai is very mature for his age and has a depth. And what unites us is our spiritual path. That's, I would say, the biggest thing for
Is
us.
the biggest because I feel he's younger, yeah, but I feel like he's 8,000 years old.
Yes,
In
yes.
terms of like wisdom and experiences and the things that he has worked through and the insights he's had.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the spiritual part. That's the coach part. And then there is the man part. The
Right.
man part is still his age,
Mm.
So there are aspects of him that um, obviously have the age that he has, and that's
Mhm.
normal. And so yeah, that's been for me sometimes a difficulty. What else? Well, he has his own journey with his own trauma, and he took a long time to process a trauma that he had when he was very little, and that has been, I would say, affecting our relationship in some aspects of it. And for me, like you observed about me, I'm more like I process in a different way, and I'm more, I would say, probably bold, probably, careless in a way, and that saved me
Mm.
in many circumstances. So that's probably been the biggest challenge between us.
Yeah, I would say maybe for you, you access it
Yeah.
easier,
Yeah.
right? In an easier way. That's what I was referring to earlier. Is
Yeah.
there isn't much of I feel like the heaviness of the fear of what's on the other
Yes.
side.
Yes.
Like you go for it.
I go for it. Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Okay, let me see what's there and let me
Yeah.
process it.
Yeah.
So you have the access. And for some other people, it's just like having the access to it is what might take longer.
That's right.
Right? You don't even
Yeah.
even know you don't even know how to get to it.
That's right.
It's so suppressed down there.
Yeah. Disconnected for protection, and that's the numbness part that some people create to protect themselves from experiencing the pain of something that happened in the past that they still have to process fully.
But is it natural that you're not you? Or is it, like you said earlier, because you were alone a lot as a child and you weren't really, you created that resilience because of everything that has been going on. So there was
I
no,
don't know.
you don't know, right?
No, I don't really know. I can't pinpoint something. The reason, it's probably, many things together. My experience, my childhood, the fact that I wasn't protected ever. So
Mm.
Kai had a great family, a very united family that always protected him, maybe overprotected him. I don't know. I don't really know. But he was always safe. Like when I met him, he was still hanging around his family in the same city. And if he had a problem, he could go to his parents, still.
Mhm.
And for me, it was never like this. And I'd been out of my household when I was 17, 18.
Fending
and
for
never came
yourself.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally relate to that. I've been out since I was 18. It's been 23 years, and it definitely does create certain resilience and fending for yourself. And I want to shift a little bit, but I want to ask, do you believe in this, like, I don't want to call it soulmates because it's so overrated, but do you believe in the same person for the rest of your life?
Same person for the
Yeah,
rest? Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I do. And I do believe that it can be like this or not. Life happens. It's either a choice or events of life bring us apart sometimes. And they're very, very strong life events that can drift us apart. And it happens. And so it can be forever, forever in this lifetime at least,
Mhm.
or not. I think the most difficult thing is staying open to both possibility.
Mm.
You know?
What's next for Gabriella? So you've been in Barcelona for maybe like a couple months?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
right.
3 months. And
3
then
months.
this, yes.
You're going back to acting?
I don't see that coming.
No.
No. I would like to spread devotional love mission to the world.
Mm.
Our mission is to elevate relationship consciousness to preserve the innocence of humanity. It's an ambitious mission. I would like to bring that mission around the world. I would like to support as much people as possible with their families, with their relationships, with their emotional life.
What are
You
the
know,
biggest challenges you see in couples?
the biggest challenge, yeah. So,
Something common that you see,
yeah,
because you've been coaching a lot of couples,
yeah.
something common that you see happens a
So
lot.
something that I found in every single relationship we're being working with is the relationship conditioning that we call relationship blueprint that is formed during childhood with your caregivers or parents. You bring that experience, that unconscious blueprint into your new relationship,
Mm.
and then it operates from behind the scenes, from behind doors. It operates unconsciously.
That's when like people say, "Oh, you married your dad," or so, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they mean. Like the same,
Yeah.
you looked for the person with whom you've created the same dynamic.
Yeah. So all the fears, all the and how you interpreted your experiences, love wise, care wise, you internalize and you create like a belief, almost a belief system around that. Whether it is I'm unlovable, whether it is someone is going to abandon me very soon, or whether it is, I'm ashamed of a part of myself or myself. And I create this fake persona where I'm invincible around that. Whether it can be many things, but that operates as an unconscious set of behaviors that are compulsions, reactions. So when that is not worked through, it can destroy any relationship that is intimate, and daily. And so the work that every couple should do is the work on that, first of all. So you can choose how to react to difficulties, challenges, things that you dislike, that you perceive as threatening, unpleasant, uncomfortable. So that will be the first thing. When a man and a woman, or a woman and woman, a man and a man are in a relationship and they haven't worked through their childhood patterns, these blueprints are gonna just fight and create distance, create resentment, create adversity, and then it's very difficult to maintain a healthy relationship long term.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like work through your stuff.
Yes.
Because whatever, stuff you think you've already worked through, when you start meeting someone, when you start seeing someone, yeah, new things show up or it all comes back up to the surface.
Yeah.
And you can just change the person, but the same things are going to show up because it's in you, right?
Yeah. It's like, the same cycles. Unless we break the cycle, we become aware of the cycle, it comes back. Yeah, it's hunting us.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. There's been so much
Me
there.
too.
Is there anything else you would like to share about yourself, your relationship?
I would like to see in the next future the personal growth industry realizing, so getting more advanced and modern, and realizing that the focus on relationships has been undervalued, and that is actually one of the most important thing in a human life. It's where our true abundance and come from. Sense of abundance is in relationships, and how important it is to get skilled, aware, conscious on how to deal with our relationships, how to behave in relationships, and how it is important for life, for this world, to take care of this aspect of society, of human being, of life. One relationship at the time, you can heal an entire lifetime, entire world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, Sarah.
Is there
Thank
anything
you.
else you want to add?
No, I'm complete.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
being here.
you.
I really
Thank
appreciate you.
Thank you.
you.
It's so warm.
I know it's a little hot in here.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching. This was another amazing episode with Gabriella, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Let's take a moment to reflect on the power of purpose. Sefamar, a leader in assembling vehicles in Morocco, builds more than machines. They create the essential vehicles that move us forward, connecting people, building cities, and enabling progress. Just as their trucks and buses carry people and materials, bringing to life a vision of growth and development, we too are vehicles, carriers of ideas, dreams, and deeper truths. At the Sarra Show, we embrace what it means to be human and to serve a purpose beyond ourselves. When we surrender to that purpose, we unlock our true potential. Sefamar's vehicles connect communities. We, in turn, connect hearts and minds. Thank you for joining us in this shared journey of creation and connection. Together, we are all vehicles for something greater.